But now let's welcome in Representative Joe Zullo from the 99th District of East Haven here on Bryan and Company. Representative Zullo, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for coming on this morning. You know, I was reading the piece on. I mean, one of your committees is housing, right? And then if you're on, is it housing? Is finance, revenue, and bonding one committee, and housing is a separate committee? Is that how it works?
That's correct, okay. And I'm also on planning and development as well.
I see you're a busy guy right now, obviously, and. You know, we talk a lot of real estate on this show, and we talk a lot about affordability here in Connecticut. And before I ask a couple of follow-ups, but what is the measure that I think it just passed committee, I believe, that's trying to give some relief for first-time home buyers here in Connecticut?
So this year we have House Bill 5167. It seeks to provide a $500 or to allow municipalities to provide a up to $500 per year tax abatement in property taxes if somebody buys a house as a first-time home buyer with a loan through the Connecticut Housing and Finance Authority.
Okay, so now how often do people finance through that? I mean,
unfortunately, not enough. The problem is that, one, people don't know about the wonderful programs that are available through CHFA, and two, because, frankly, a lot of mortgage brokers don't make as much money offering them, they're reticent to offer them. So that, they'll push other loan products. So, I see this as a measure that not only will give a leg up to first-time home buyers, but will bring attention to some amazing programs that we have over at CHFA.
Okay, so just what's the name of it? Where they would have to go through, because I want to just make sure people are listening, whether it's them, their sons, daughters, or nieces, nephews, grandsons, or granddaughters, know about it. Where these finance? What is CHFA?
CHFA is the Connecticut Housing and Finance Authority, and it's an arm of our housing department at the state of Connecticut that offers a number of programs, including first-time home buyer loans if you qualify based on certain income limits throughout the state. They offer down payment assistance loans. Such that you could pay all of your closing costs if you buy a house using one of these down payment assistance programs. And then they offer a supplemental down payment assistance program called a time-to-own loan. It could be up to $50,000 at 0% forgivable over 10 years. And all of these could be bundled such that you could actually take advantage of all three in the same transaction.
Now, these are income sensitive? Like you have to be under a certain threshold for income, or how does that work?
That's correct. You have to be within a certain income threshold, and depending on which product you use, you may have to buy in certain high opportunity areas throughout the state. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean urban or rural settings. They're determined based on certain criteria as far as the amount of affordable housing in each area. For example, I was looking earlier, and I think I think Branford may be like a moderate opportunity or high opportunity area. So you really have to go and do the research to find out where you could really maximize the use of these programs.
Yeah, because I was going to say, $500 a year for 5 years, it's money, but it's to me, it's not an incentive enough necessarily to get the market unstuck or anything like that. But I guess if you can leverage all of those elements of it, then it could be worthwhile. Something similar happened last year, but didn't make it through the Senate. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. And I hear a lot. What's $500? What's $500? I work in real estate a lot, and I can't tell you how many times I see a couple or I see a first-time home buyer who just barely, falls short of being able to afford something because their debt-to-income ratio just isn't quite right, or the monthly numbers don't add up. And, when you break it down, this could be the difference, that pushes people over the top. But again, additionally, what I think it really does is it draws attention to these fantastic programs that we have at CHFA.
Yeah, I think that seems to be the takeaway here. We're talking with Joe Zullo from the 99th District, Republican representative here on Bryan and Company. What are the odds then this gets through this year?
I'm hopeful. I'm cautiously optimistic. It's been on the agenda enough times now that people know what it is. They know what it brings to the table. So I'm hopeful that we'll get it out of the House early this year so we can get it up to our colleagues in the Senate. And we've got some fantastic senators that are on board with it this year that are excited about it. So I'm hopeful we'll get it to the governor's desk a lot earlier than we did last year. I think it was right at the end of session that we did last year.
Yeah. I mean, it seems something that, especially with the current conditions, you could get some bipartisan support on. I'm just curious, since you sit on the committee and you seem to know real estate, How do you view this? I mean, it's just, and I talk about it a ton on the show. I mean, people don't want a lot of affordable housing in their towns. We have such capacity issues when it comes to real estate in this state. Plus, you have so you have low inventory, you have not a lot coming online, and you have high interest rates. I mean, the dynamic's pretty, and higher prices. I mean, the dynamic's pretty brutal. And we thought that we were going to get an ease in interest rates, and it hasn't really happened. I mean, how do you view real estate, and what do you think is going to happen in the next, 12 to 24 months?
I do think that interest rates are going to start to creep down, which is going to help, at least in the immediate short term. But then, you have a lot of people sitting on the sidelines waiting for those rates to come down, and you have a lot of people. So it may end up that housing prices actually end up going up a little bit, and you may end up seeing a repeat of 2020, 2021 when it was hyper competitive. But we have to do something, and people misunderstand affordable housing. I have to say, people just and towns want to be able to control development in their towns. Local towns know what's best for their communities. They know how best to develop them. So I don't think there's necessarily an aversion to affordable housing as much as there is an aversion to dense, Hartford mandated housing. Towns just want to be able to control it and put it where it makes the best sense for them. And unfortunately, that's what's been made very difficult, by a number of mandates out of Hartford.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that it's just like the naming of it throws people off, and I think that I don't know. We need housing here in Connecticut. Joe Zullo, Republican representative in the 99th district here in Bryan and Company. Just curious, we only have a minute or two left. Is there any, you're obviously very busy, short session, a lot of budget issues. I just want to know if there's anything else you want to bring people's attention to, or in your district or on your committees or what have you.
As we move ahead through the session, I think we're going to be taking a really close look at the budget this year. The budget outlook is changing. It's not as rosy as it was in the past. A lot of those one-time funding sources are gone. And, we're still trying to help people recover from, the staggering inflation that we've experienced over the last few years. So, getting a budget out that preserves the substantial tax savings, that we enacted the last year is important. This is a revision year for us, so we're going to be making tweaks and making sure that we can preserve that and give people stability and security. That's my priority.
In terms of the Republicans, I mean, do you feel like in the next cycle you can get a little more traction, get the numbers up? I mean, it's obviously something it's really important to have competitive government. Are you a little more optimistic about how Republicans are going to fare in the fall?
I'm cautiously optimistic. We've had some phenomenal candidates. We're working harder than ever this year to field competition. And you're right. One party rule in Hartford is not a solution to the state's problems. The broader viewpoints we have, the more people we have, the better a product of government we're going to have.
It's good to have you on the program. Maybe one of these days you'll take the ride up, have you in studio when you're in Hartford or what have you. It'd be good to meet you in person.
I'd love the opportunity.
All right. Have a great day. Thank you, Joe.
You too. Take care.
All right. Joe Zullo, Republican representative in the 99th district.